nickel hydrogen batteries on the station with lithium-ion batteries on the port 6 truss. And that's the same work site that we'll see the astronauts at today. They put these remaining spacewalks on hold as the alpha magnetic spectrometer spacewalks took place and as teams on the ground investigated some issues with the battery charge discharge units on the space station. We'll talk about more about those BCDUs, the battery charge discharge units, a little bit later. Astronauts inside the station are supporting the spacewalk as well and also have a live video feed of the astronauts working outside once they make it there. Andrew Morgan, as you can see in the right side of your screen, will eventually take his place at the controls of the Canadarm2. We won't see any astronauts taking a ride on the Canadarm2 today, but he will be commanding the location of the external pallet, or the EP, where astronauts will be removing and replacing some batteries later on.
EV1 with red stripes egresses the airlock, followed by EV2. While EV2 puts her tool bag on a portable foot restraint, EV1 translates to the forward face of the ISS. EV1 secures both crew safety tethers and proceeds to the 4 Bravo worksite at the port 6 location. EV2 then follows the same path to the worksite. EV2 installs the portable foot restraint and moves her tool bag to the other side of the integrated equipment assembly. She breaks torque on the old nickel hydrogen battery in slot 1 and configures the worksite. Meanwhile, EV1 secures her tool bag to the exposed pallet before joining EV2 at the first battery. EV2 ingresses the portable foot restraint and releases 2 bolts using the pistol grip tool. EV2 removes the battery and the crew work together to shepherd it to the exposed pallet. Next, EV1 ingresses the portable foot restraint, and they install the battery, driving 1 bolt. EV1 removes 2 handling aids called scoops. The robotic arm moves the exposed pallet so EV1 can access a new lithium-ion battery. EV1 installs scoops, releases 1 bolt, and removes the new battery. The crew work together to bring the new battery back to slot 1. They inspect the battery and drive 2 bolts to install it. Next, EV2 moves the scoops to the old battery in slot 2. They break torque and release 2 bolts. EV2 removes the battery, and the crew work together to shepherd it back to the exposed pallet. EV1 ingresses the portable foot restraint, temporarily stowing the old battery on her body restraint tether, then removes an adapter plate from the exposed pallet. EV1 hands the adapter plate to EV2, who takes it back to slot 2, while EV1 installs the old battery onto the exposed pallet. Meanwhile, EV1 installs the old battery onto the exposed pallet. EV1 then joins EV2 at the integrated equipment assembly, where EV2 inspects and installs the adapter plate. EV2 drives 2 bolts and then mates an electrical cable to complete that powered channel pairing. The crew move to battery 3 and release 2 bolts. They remove the old battery and install that onto the adapter plate in slot 2. EV1 and EV2 will remove a new lithium-ion battery from the exposed pallet and install it into slot 3. That completes the planned task for this EVA. If there is more time available, they will remove the old battery from slot 4 and install it on the exposed pallet, which is not shown in this video. The crew will prep the worksite in preparation for the next EVA, then clean up tools. EV1 retrieves her tool bag from the exposed pallet. Then both crew return to the airlock. Both crew then ingress the airlock, completing the EVA.
The crew has completed all of their checks on their suits. They've prepared their helmet visors to egress into the daytime You can see astronaut Jessica Meir, EV-1, or Spacewalker 1, egressing the hatch now, flying about 267 statute miles over the Indian Ocean.
Okay, Christina, I have egress, and I'm going to move over to the forward side. Copy.
You'll be able to differentiate between Meir and Koch today based on their spacesuits.
I'm going to get my BRT ready.
You can see Meir has red stripes around the legs of her spacesuit, whereas Koch will only have a white spacesuit.
Okay, copy.
And Christina, you can work on bundling the crew lock bag to the APFR on the WIFX in WIF 11.
Copy.
After performing their buddy checks to ensure each other's suits are in the right configuration, Christina Koch and Jessica Meir are now on their way to the P6 truss, where they will conduct today's spacewalk. After setting up their work site, the duo will begin moving batteries. The first will be an old nickel hydrogen battery that's currently installed on the space station. They'll move that to the external.
Okay, I have a large hook around the gimbal.
Copy. Next is to perform a visual inspection to see if there is any obvious reason why the light became free.
I'm looking at the latches. I can see the left ones clearly. I don't see anything in there. I don't see any fog. Christina, if you can kind of tilt down to your left. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I don't see anything obvious. I'm just kind of holding it right now in place where it will eventually go.
Copy, and then check if the light locks are still in place.
You can see the left light hook lock is in place. And I can see the right is also in place.
Copy, and then can you depress all four of the buttons to confirm that they're functional?
Okay, copy. I thought that I did recall that it was possible to get both on together, but I will definitely defer to you on that. Would you like me to demate the power cable at this time?
First, have Christina turn off her WVS, and then you can demate the cable.
I can get it, Christina. Okay.
Or Jessica can do it.
Okay, it's actually already off. Just cycled it to make sure, so that the WVS is off.
Copy, you can demate the cable.
And Christina, come toward me a little bit more. Okay.
Flight controllers and ground teams have determined to just remove the helmet portion with the lights and video system.
But it's on your waist tether. Okay, I see that. Putting it in front of you. Okay. Nice, if you get a hand on your waist tether. Yep, I see that. Oh, keep your eye on it. And do I need to mate the cable back to its ground, or can I just tuck it in the pocket, Stephanie?
On H1 at 6 o'clock, and one on battery 4 at H2 at 6 o'clock.
Okay, Christina, since you're on that side, if you want to do battery 2, then we can either you could pass them over, or I could do the other one if we don't want to take them off this regret. I'll do one at a time. Okay, so it was DCSU, and so you could probably go down to battery 2 first.
Jessica, Christina? And Jessica, what we suggest is that, Jessica, we have you work on installing both of the scoops, and Christina can work on the PGT, configuring her PGT with the hex driver from the socket caddy.
Okay, copy. Okay, and I copy as well. You're a bit to the right, to the left, both feet. Okay. Is in, and you just need to get the heel rotated inboard and down. Perfect. So you're in the toe loop. I think you're going to have to bring it forward more. Okay. And if you can pull it to you a little bit, okay? Yep. So I can get up here.
As NASA astronaut Christina Koch holds the battery, you can see she's wearing an all-white suit, designating her as Spacewalker 2 today.
Just be aware that coming outboard and the battery is between you and me. Copy. And I can... Are you going to get your red off? Yep, I'm going to get that off. Okay. And then that red is retrieved. Okay, copy.
Jessica, we see you've got
Copy.
H1.
My video has performed the red swap, and we're ready for set.
Yes. Jessica has H1 in the right hand for install, which we see. Christina, you can translate onto the EP to assist, and you can soft back the battery.
Copy. And I copy.
We're an hour and 45 minutes into today's spacewalk, and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is preparing to soft dock the first removed battery, a nickel hydrogen battery, to the external pallet.
Copy. I'm on the EP.
Copy.
I can see I'm holding the battery clear. Okay, and I'm going to be heading above your head for left for assisting, and I am ready to begin soft dock. Okay, pushing. Yep, you're in a good spot. Come in, and then a little bit down. A little bit out. Keep coming in. You're looking really aligned.
Meir is now talking with Andrew Morgan, NASA astronaut on the space station.
Very fast. So let's maybe give it a push and then see if that actually goes on this engine. And of course that's at H2. And I have the battery. Okay, you have the battery. Yep. I have control of the battery. I'm bringing it down away from you, so you'll have clearance to egress. Copy. Okay, next, clear to ingress. Egress. Okay, copy. Can you see the ingress here? I think it's underneath my camera again. You see? I think you're right. When this happened to me, and I kind of going up on your tippy toes to get it off the top, or move it around because likely the handle is around the base of where the T comes up from the base plate of the MWS. Let me look again, see if I can see this. Yep, there you go. Nice job. Looks like your toe is definitely well in the loop if you, on your left if you rotate in. Okay? Thank you. I think your right foot might need to move with it to the right. There you go. Now your left foot needs to move to your right.
A is coming here in less than a minute, and you'll probably see that transition. We'd like Jessica to turn the EHIP lights on, the one that's temp stowed on the crew lock bag, and that'll just help light the area on the IEA for future ops.
Okay, that's a great idea. Happy. Okay, Christina, maneuvering the battery towards you. And I do want to make sure, like you said, the RET is on the APFR. I believe it's not. I see, yep, it's not. It is around the INGRESS, though.
Jessica, check WVS.
Okay, copy. As soon as I let go of the battery, I can get that in work.
Copy.
Okay, I see the battery coming towards me. I have the battery. Okay, you have the battery, letting go. Copy. And I'm going to lean back It fins down and in a way that I can also present the fins to you for inspection. Okay. And I have it oriented fins down with each one outboard in the installation direction.
And we have a question for Christina. Christina, for the helmet light, would you like to keep it at the IEA as a beacon, or would you like to take it with you so that when you return from the EP with the adapter plate, you have it kind of as a flashlight?
I would like to keep it at the IEA.
Copy that. Thank you.
You will. You think the illumination was good enough for you to translate because you'll be translating by yourself back with that? Yep, I do. Okay, great.
There's one caution here. Prior to releasing the battery in slot 2, do not impart loads into microsquares once torque is broken on the associated bulb.
Copy.
Christina, relocate the APFR from width 29 to width 25 with a clocking of 12. It's one width inboard.
It work. I'm going to come back a little bit more. I have the battery. Hey, you have the battery? I have the battery. Do you see the rack going under the APFR, which I think is exactly what you need? Yep, perfect. Agreed.
Coming up at 3 hours into today's planned 6.5-hour spacewalk, the astronauts have completed their first 2 tasks and are now working on their third. They first removed battery 1, a nickel hydrogen battery, from its place on the integrated electronics assembly and moved that down to external pallet in slot Z. They, after that, moved battery F, a lithium-ion battery, from the external pallet to slot 1, where battery 1 had just been located. The astronauts are currently moving battery 2, a nickel hydrogen battery, to the external pallet in slot F. However, before they can attach it to the external pallet, they'll need to remove the adapter plate from the slot F. Adapter plate F will subsequently be moved to slot 2 on the integrated electronics assembly aboard the International Space Station.
Stephanie, are we back with you?
We are back with you.
Okay. And your feet are on top of the, yep, toe. My right fin, right. That left is, yeah, right, all the way in. Yep. Okay, and I don't know that it's clicked all the way outward, your heel outward. Yep, there we go. I think it's good now. Awesome. Yeah, for you. Okay. Let me just get ingress in the right position. Okay, if you can push it up a bit more. Yep. Okay, I've got the battery. You have the battery,
And Jessica, Christina, at this point,
okay, you have it. It's still read it to me.
Yes, and at this point or at a convenient point, we recommend doing a RET swap onto Jessica's BRT RET.
So now if you move your entire body inboard, and then so it's between that joint and your, yes, there you go. And now it's still a little bit, so now definitely bend your knees and you'll kind of get away from it. It's kind of caught in there. Okay, and now come towards me because that did actually change. Your BRT tab is now in the down position. Come to me and I'm going to fix that. Okay, copy. And the jaws. Okay, your BRT tab is now up. Okay, give that a good pull test. Good. And I got a good pull test, and I can confirm that the adjustable that connected is also in a good config. Okay, copy. You know what? You probably can reach that test right after. See that? Still set.
Confirm 2 lines visible, 1 line flush on H1.
Mark. And Stephanie, do I need to fold the ingress lead all the way flush against the boot plate, or can I just have it tilted back, station off?
Just having it back so that there's clearance for the arm is good.
Okay, yep, it is definitely clear of the arm. Now it's at about 45 degrees.
Copy.
Stephanie, I have 2 lines visible, 1 line flush on H1.
Copy. Drive H1 4.5 to 5.5 turns.
Stephanie, my red is retrieved, and I'm ready for next step.
Next is adapter plate work. You can either egress the APFR to release the TA clamps and then demate the AP connector, or if you feel you can reach that from the APFR, whatever is your preference.
Okay, assessing. And one question for you, Stephanie, for these scoops on battery 3, I'm remaining redded to one of them, is that correct? If so, could you remind me which one?
Copy your question, Jessica. We're checking.
As NASA astronaut Jessica Meir continues to work on installing the scoops on battery 3, which will be the next battery the astronauts work with.
Just like we talked about with the twist in this, just like with the gas planner, we'll probably have you tend as we install. Okay, sounds good. Wasn't a perfect solution there.
And speaking of the gap spanner, do you show it inboard and away from the work site, or you feel it's loose enough you can move it as you need it?
It's loose enough to move as required.
Copy that. Thank you.
At 4 hours and 11 minutes in today's spacewalk, the astronauts have completed their first 3 tasks. The first being move battery 1, a nickel hydrogen battery, to the external pallet, and then move battery F, a lithium ion battery, from the external pallet to the slot 1 on the integrated electronics assembly. The astronauts just completed moving battery 2, a nickel hydrogen battery, to the external pallet while removing adapter plate F from the external pallet and to battery 2's former slot on the integrated electronics assembly. Coming up next, the astronauts will move battery 3 to the adapter plate F slot 2. Adapter plate F slot 2 is what NASA astronaut Christina Koch just completed installing.
Okay, this feels like a good position. Okay, and I'll lean back for you to do the swinging, and I do see that I'm going to get the gap spanner down. Go.
So to check on the gap spanner and also check ingress aid stowed.
See, and work. Ingress aid is stowed.
Copy. Then, Christina, you can receive the battery.
Hey, Jessica, I have the battery. Hey, copy, you have the battery. I'm letting go. And here's what I'll get it over the gap spanner, and then you were doing, you'll hold it up, and I know that I'm interfering with you right now moving, so stand by 1, and I'll get this out of your way. Okay. Okay, and you need to lift up so I can clear the gap spanner and the cable. Copy.
Jessica, while translating, check your feet for tethers.
Copy. I see Christina's.
Seconds, so 20-second handover.
Continue.
Continuing.
You can stop motion.
Stopping motion. Did we overshoot there at all? I was waiting on your stop.
No, this is a good position. Copy. Have 1 line flush in H2.
Copy. Release H2, about 19 turns.
Okay, copy. Starting turn.
At 4 hours and 46 minutes into today's spacewalk, you can see NASA astronaut Jessica Meir using the pistol grip tool to release battery E from the external pallet on her right. You can also see some shadows starting to fall over portions of the space station as it is about to enter an orbital nighttime.
that is 25 turns. I believe I should be released. It does look very loose. Okay, and I do see unlock.
Copy 25 turns and status indicator unlock. Can stow that PGT and unlock the rest.
Copy. Actually, I'm going to get the other way. Okay. Copy, no worries. That's perfect. Okay, I have the battery. Okay, you have the battery. Have it.
Coming up on 5 hours into today's spacewalk, planned for 6.5 hours, the astronauts have completed 4 of their planned 5 tasks. The first was to move Battery 1, a nickel-hydrogen battery, to the external pallet, where it will eventually be disposed. Battery F, a lithium-ion battery, a new battery, was moved to Battery 1's old spot on the integrated electronics assembly. Battery 2 was moved from external pallet F, and at the same time, adapter plate F was moved into slot 2, the Battery 2's formal space. The astronauts just completed installing Battery 3 to the adapter plate F slot 2, and they're now working on installing Battery E, a lithium-ion battery, to slot 3 on the integrated electronics assembly. At 5 hours and 12 minutes into the spacewalk, as the station is flying over Kazakhstan, NASA astronaut Christina Koch is in the articulating portable foot restraint and working with Jessica Meir to soft dock the final scheduled battery for today. Once it's in place on slot 3 of the integrated electronics assembly, she will tighten 2 bolts to secure it to the space station.
I will translate back over to the other side. Copy. All right. There. Hold you back. And for this one, I think you'll still have room to be inboard of me. It'll be almost exactly like taking off Battery 2, I think. Okay, copy. I will translate around now. I can face your lights in the right direction. Now that the sun's out. I don't think I'm going to be, this is that little spot, so I think, yeah, probably just going to get here. Sounds like a plan. I can get it up for you. So I'm going to go my arm the other way. Okay? Okay, I have the battery. Copy. You have the battery. I have the battery.
As astronauts Christina Koch and Jessica Meir move Battery 4 down to its new home, they are in the middle of their get-ahead task. They'll be moving this battery, a nickel-hydrogen battery, to an open slot on the external pallet. The external pallet will eventually be disposed as these batteries are no longer of use.
Jessica, as you guys approach the work site, the brakes are on and it'll be go for your ops when you get there.
Okay, we copy. Thanks, Drew. All right, if you haven't all the way pulled in, and this might be as far as I can go, but if you can, I think I can get to that one. Okay.
Brakes are on, go for ops.
Copy. All right, I'm going to get this high and then pass you H1. Okay, copy. Christina, stand by. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so right now, if you keep going up, we'll hit the edge on the edge of the AP. So can you go station aft a little bit, so back my back? That's good. Perfect. Okay, I have it. Okay, and I'm going to watch your clearance of the fins to the EP since we are a little close. And you have to do a little bit. Okay, you have the battery. Copy. All right, you're clear. And how's your ret doing? You want to just remain retted to it? It works for me. It's not too strung out, and I can come close to you now. Okay, copy.
Okay, I understand, Jessica. Now you have the battery. The red is remaining on Christina, and you have H1 in your right hand. Christina, you can translate onto the EP to assist. The previous EP reminders apply. When you're ready, soft dock the battery.
Okay, copy. I think you're pulling on the ret a bit there. May have to do a wet stop then because I will need to... Stop. Okay, go back the other way. Yeah, there you go. All right, and actually, you know what? I take that back. I can pull up my local like this. Don't need to go away from me. All right, and we can probably do this without you on the EP if you can help guide me from there. Yeah, definitely. I think I can. I don't really have many of the black lines. Yeah, I think I'm actually lined up. Yeah,
We're now 6.5 hours into today's spacewalk. The spacewalk itself was scheduled to last 6.5 hours. However, the crew had good consumables, meaning they had enough water and oxygen for the spacewalk to last a little longer. That's why teams went ahead and proceeded with that extra get-ahead task of moving Battery 4 to the external pallet. That also puts teams in a good configuration for the next spacewalk on Monday, January 20th. Now there will only be 2 nickel-hydrogen batteries left to be removed and 1 lithium-ion battery left to be installed. Our spacewalkers are now cleaning up and starting to head back to the International Space Station's Quest airlock as the station flies 260 statute miles over Nigeria in an orbital nighttime.
Okay, so speaking of that clear off bag, I do have it against structure with the doors down.
Copy, Christina, and 1 minute, 30 seconds to sunset.
Okay, and I retrieve my green hook. We can head in. Okay, and I can see that we have a loop around our tethers right now. I want to see if it clears. I see that yours is around this trunnion here, so if I can clear that, I want to see if that helps. Okay. And I can also hang tight at the tether at the anchor point, like we talked about, if you need to do a twist there. I'm just going to come down here so I can take a look at it. Okay. I'll stay here so that my wheels aren't making that harder.
In the last 7 hours, the astronauts accomplished all of their tasks as well as one get-ahead task, moving the old nickel-hydrogen batteries out of the integrated electronics assembly and moving new lithium-ion batteries from the external pallet into the integrated electronics assembly. Today's spacewalk was continuing work that began last fall when they were already moving nickel, hydrogen, and lithium-ion batteries, updating the power supply on the P6 truss. And the work on the P6 truss is not finished. On Monday, we will see the next spacewalk where the final 2 nickel-hydrogen batteries will be removed and the final lithium-ion battery will be put into the integrated electronic assembly.
Okay, that looks good.
As you can see, the thermal hatch cover is open, and the astronauts are now ingressing the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. That's NASA astronaut Christina Koch heading in right now. You can tell she's EV2 today, wearing no stripes on her spacesuit.
Okay, I have a waist tether on the airlock steering extender. Use closed slider flap. I'm going to get the rack for your bag. Okay, copy.
Copy, Christina.
Today's spacewalk was the 225th spacewalk for space station assembly and maintenance, and it totaled at 7 hours and 29 minutes. This was the first spacewalk of this year and this decade, and it's the 7th spacewalk during Expedition 61. However, there are 2 more planned for this expedition. And of these 7 spacewalks, they have totaled at 47 hours, 46 minutes so far. Today was the 2nd spacewalk for Jessica Meir, and she now has 14 hours and 46 minutes of spacewalking time. It was the 5th spacewalk for Christina Koch, who now has 35 hours and 17 minutes of spacewalking time. Today's spacewalk lasted 7 hours, 29 minutes, and if you total up all of the time spent at the International Space Station on spacewalks, you'll get 1,415 hours and 12 minutes of spacewalk time. That total equals 58 days, 23 hours, and 12 minutes of time outside the hatch.